Good morning. I just woke up, as you can see. The sun is rising in the background and it looks pretty beautiful. The sky is like very pink right now. That's pretty cool. It's Saturday morning. Let's talk about some books. Book 71 that I read is The Vanishing Stair, which is the second book in the Maureen Johnson Truly Devious series. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the series a lot, but I felt like the first book was the strongest. The second one was just a continuation of the mystery, so we learn more about the Ellingham murder in the past, as well as present mysterious things that are going on surrounding the school. We see Stevie's relationship develop with the character David, and there is yet another mysterious murder that happens that Stevie and her friends have to try and solve. Book 71 that I read was Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, which I rated 4 stars. This book is written in verse and it tells the story of two sisters, Yahaira and Camino, who live in New York and the Dominican Republic, and they share a father, although they don't know it and the families don't know about each other. I really like this book a lot. It's short, it's quick to read, and the writing is absolutely gorgeous. I'm really excited to read some other books by Elizabeth Acevedo. The Poet X and The Fire on High specifically I want to get to at some point in 2021. Every single one of my limbs feels very tired right now. I used to be really into yoga and do it all the time, but 2020 has been a slice, so I just have gotten off the horse. Now I'm trying to get back on the horse, so getting back into the yoga thing. It always feels really, really good whenever I do it. Like, I'm high on the endorphins right now. My body's feeling good. Ready to jump back into it. And if you're looking for an at-home yoga workout, I really love Yoga with Adrienne's videos. So I'll link the one that I just did in the description below if you want to do it yourself. It was called Root to Rise. Just a really nice, like, full body in the morning, wake up and let's get going kind of routine. So book number 73 that I read was The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and my god, this book was so good. I put it on my top 10 favorite books of all time. That's how much I loved it. Dark academia is my shit. I just will eat it up all day long. It's so freaking good. The general summary of the book is that there's this guy who wants to get into this really elite classics department in a New England university. And once he gets in, there's kind of secrets and mysteries and murder and lots of really, really pretentious talk about Greek poets and stuff. Like, it is very pretentious, so like be prepared for that when you start the book. But once you get used to that and used to the vibe of all of the students, it's just like so thoughtful and thought-provoking and intellectual and just really incredibly well written. And I'm gonna buy it so I can reread it many, many times because I just loved it so much. And if you're a fan of dark academia, please go read this book. Hello, I just filmed a video, so I thought I would talk about number 74 while I am in front of my Christmas tree in my Christmassy outfit. So 74 was Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. I know, it was a whole big thing for a while. Everybody had an opinion about it. I was definitely a fan of Twilight back in the day. Like, I got on board with the series right before Breaking Dawn came out, which was actually really good luck for me because I like inhaled the first 3 books, and then like right after I had finished Eclipse, yeah, I had to think about the name, and then right after I finished Eclipse, Breaking Dawn came out, so I was able to finish the series. It was just really, really good timing. Like many people, I was obsessed with this story, but now looking back on it many years later, I know that like the Bella-Edward relationship was not that healthy. I don't think I would enjoy it nearly as much if I reread the series now, which I don't really have plans to ever reread the series just because I've had enough of the content. I've watched the movies enough, like I've read the books enough. I'm like, I'm just good to leave that where it's at. Let sleeping dogs lie. However, I was one of the people who read Stephanie Meyer's Midnight Sun released excerpt chapters when they first came out all those years ago, and I was like waiting for this book for like a decade. Like, I remember reading those chapters and like losing my mind and going to tell my mom like, oh my god, she's writing a book from Edward's perspective, and I like was freaking out, so excited for it. So when I saw this book was getting released, I was like, of course I have to read it. Probably not gonna enjoy it, but I have to read it for teenage Sarah. I'm doing this for her. And lo and behold, just wasn't that good. I gave it 3 stars, which honestly is pretty generous, but I was respecting the feelings that I had for it back in the day when I gave it that rating. The thing is that like Edward is a psycho. Like, his stalkerish behavior is like not explained away in Midnight Sun. It's just like highlighted even more of how stalkery and creepy, and all of his like weird justifications in his head of like, oh, it's okay to break into Bella's room and watch her sleep because I've done criminal things in the past, so this is just me confirming that I'm a criminal. It's like, that's a slippery slope, my friend. Also, it just was way too long. She should have cut out like 100 pages. I started skimming it once it got to that car chase scene at the end of the book. I was like, I don't need to read this. I don't care what kind of car they're driving. Definitely skimmed through all of that. I will say it was nice getting to read the Cullen family's characters' interactions away from Bella, and it was nice getting to see Bella from Edward's perspective to like learn a little bit more about her and kind of flesh out her character a little bit, because she didn't really talk about herself that much in the Twilight series. She was more just like 100% Edward all the time, so it was nice getting to see her from an outside perspective. Overall though, I'd say unless you were a fan of Twilight back in the day, give this book a pass, because like only the hardcore Twilight fans would read this book and enjoy it. Well, I just finished Fleabag for the 3rd time, and the show gets me every single time. It's just so freaking good. The writing is impeccable, the acting is impeccable, the comedy, the sadness, all the things. Such a good show. And like season 2, Neil, y'all know the scene I'm talking about, right?
Neil.
Chef's kiss. Anyways, book number 75. That is the Hand on the Wall, the final installment of the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. Such a good ending. Stevie got her moose. If you know, you know, she got her moose, and I freaking loved that so much. This book is just a continuation of the Ellingham murder mysteries in the past as well as in the future. We had the second book ended with a third murder, so now the final book is just like everything coming to light, getting revealed, the stakes have never been higher, etc., etc. I thought it was a really great ending, and I gave it 5 stars. Right now I am doing some watercolor painting while I just finished Fleabag, and I can't show you what I'm working on because it's gonna be Christmas presents, but I can show you some of the other stuff that I've done. This is an example of scribble art where you just like paint a random splotch and then you have to try to draw a shape that fits the splotch that you've done. This was me experimenting with the salt technique. Didn't work that good. I think I have the wrong kind of salt. And then this is a technique where you, when the paint is still wet, you put saran wrap on top so that it creates this pattern. This was me experimenting with coins, so paper towel and coins. So basically you take different shapes of coins, wrap it in paper towel, and then you'll paint a layer, dab it, and then paint a layer on top and dab so that like the different layers show through with the coins. This was a fun one to do. I have even more salt technique. I think this one turned out really good. Supposed to be like the ocean and sand, although the sand is kind of green, but oh well. And then this one I was trying to do clouds. I don't think it turned out as good, but it's okay. And then this is just more of the shape experiment where you just paint a shape and then try to draw it. This is supposed to be an angel on clouds, but it looks more like a brain. It's kind of gross. I think my favorite one is this surfboard. I like how it turned out. Although this betta fish over here is pretty cool too. This is me experimenting with galaxy painting. It doesn't look that good in my opinion, but it was the first time I did it, so gotta practice. And this is even more shapes. This one, I think the best one was the Viking boat, but the snake's pretty cute, and I like this guy punching a fist. So random. And then I have a little wizard, and then this like derp bird. That one's not that great. Let's talk about book 76, which was by far the worst book I think I've ever read. Definitely the worst book of 2020. Like, this was a 1 star for me, and it's very hard for a book to get me to rate it 1 star, but like this one did it. And that is Kill the Queen by Jennifer Estep. Like, just the writing, the plot itself was like nothing special, but like the writing was so freaking atrocious. It's not like it wasn't grammatically bad or anything, but she has this habit of listing everything in 3s, and it got so annoying. Like, on multiple pages she would be like, they were tall, dark, and handsome, and then they walked quickly, hurriedly, and with vigor. She just like lists things in 3s unnecessarily, and it's very, very noticeable, just so often. And I just like, it aggravated me so much to the point where my sibling and I actually, the last couple chapters of this book, we read out loud to each other because I kept telling them like how bad it was, and I was like, please, can you help me get through this? So we like read the last couple chapters out loud to each other so we could like make fun of how bad it was as we were reading it, and that just helped me get through the book. But like, just so bad. I'm not even gonna tell you the plot of this book because I like have blocked it from my memory and I don't want to think about it ever again. Like, if you want to know what it's about, just go read the Goodreads summary, I guess, but like, do yourself a favor and don't read this because I hated it. Okay, look how creepy this lighting is. That's not flattering. but oh well. I've been sitting in my room editing a video literally until the sky started darkening. So it's almost 5 o'clock and I'm feeling like making a martini. So let's do that. All right, on the sofa, got me a martini. This is my first time using the Aviation Gin. I just really love Ryan Reynolds, so I wanted to support him. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I feel like I need to think about it a little more. I'm noticing it's like quite a bit sweeter than some of the other gins I've had. It's quite smooth. I almost wonder if it would be better with like a twist, but I'm not really like a twist gal. I prefer olives. Like, the more olives the better, eh? Anyways, book number 77, Beach Read by Emily, what's her name? Emily Henry. This was a book club book with our very dwindling book club. I think this was the last one we ended up doing before everybody kind of dispersed because of the pandemic. By the way, if you can hear any noise in the background, Jess is playing D&D right now and is being very enthusiastic about it. They're the DM, so hopefully that's not too loud, but if you hear anything, that's what it is. I like this book a lot. I gave it 4 stars, and I really think it is like the ultimate beach read. If you need a book to take with you to the beach, this is the guy. It's a story about 2 authors, one who usually writes romances and another who usually writes serious, depressing literary fiction. They happen to move in next door to each other and they know each other from university. And, oh, let's get the whole book in the shot there. And they are both in a bit of a writing slump, so they decide that they're going to try and write in each other's genres and see if that helps. And over the course of the book, they take each other on kind of like book dates to get the creative juices flowing. And this book, I think, is a lot more serious and profound than you might originally think upon hearing the summary. Like, it looks just like a fluffy, light romance, but like, I cried. It, you know, it has some things that are happening. Like, it has some serious issues in it and the characters are really going through it. Good morning, happy Sunday. I just spent a very long time playing Animal Crossing, but I was listening to the When No One Is Watching audiobook and I made a lot of progress. I only have like an hour left, so I'll probably finish that either today or tomorrow. But today I'm having kind of a quiet day. I'm gonna take care of a sad plant over there that is dying, and then I'm gonna make some soup for lunch, and then probably just like read and watch The Mentalist, because I am watching that the whole way through right now. So good, I love that show. So yeah, let's get going. propagating my plant, so I'll need to leave that for probably a couple weeks until it starts forming roots, and then I can replant it into the pot and hopefully it will turn into something like this. That's what my nice looking one looks like, so hopefully it'll turn into that. In the meantime, let's talk about book number 78, which is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. This was so much fun. I used to really enjoy reading these kind of like Harlequin romances, but I just hadn't picked one up in a really long time. And I'm so glad I read this. It's like a Harlequin, but more of like a new adult kind of Harlequin, so it's just like a younger cast of characters. It just felt a little bit more fresh and youthful, but still had like all of those tropes and things that you enjoy if you like reading historical romances. So this is part of a series. This is the first book in the series, A League of Extraordinary Women, and I'm super excited to keep reading because I just loved this so much and I can't wait to read the next one. This has kind of a enemies to lovers kind of situation, but it's like a one-sided. Well, so like she doesn't like him. She thinks he's like snooty, but she has to try to win him over to their women's suffrage movement so he can use his power to support it. Whereas he thinks that she's only there in his house because she's like hooking up with his brother, so he thinks she's like a whore and like insults her to her face about it, and then has to be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you were a lady. So there's just like a lot of nice moments with that. Super great read, highly recommend. Okay, now I'm getting hungry, so it's time to make soup. I'm making borscht, which I don't know if I've ever made before, but I looked up a couple recipes and I feel like I have the general gist of it, so I'm just gonna like wing it and hope it turns out okay. Let's see how it goes. Well, I was a little bit ambitious with that serving of soup. I ate almost all of it, but now I'm extremely full, and it was the perfect warm, cuddly meal for a gloomy, rainy day outside. Now I'm just watching The Mentalist, but I thought I'd take a little break and talk about book 79, which is The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton. I ended up rating this book at 3.5. I really loved the writing a lot, but I thought the ending was just a little bit rushed and maybe could have been stretched out a little bit more to make it more satisfying. But overall, I did really enjoy the story. I would say there's a bit of a self-harm trigger because the main character does cut herself. But if you're fine with that, it is a really, really great, like, atmospheric, dark book about witches set on an island off the coast of Washington. Oh no, okay, I just realized that I have a Skype call with my parents planned, like, right now, so I have to go. I'll be back for the last book later. Okay, bye. Made it all the way to the end of the weekend and book number 80, which was City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series, of course. It's a book that I first fell in love with back in high school, and I'm now in the process of rereading the series. So I will say that this book was a little bit boring for me just because I had read it so many times back in the day, and also I've consumed so much media content about it. Like, I've seen the Mortal Instruments movie many times because I love Lily Collins. I'm obsessed with her, and I did try to watch the Netflix TV show, which was just horrible. I don't know, does anybody like that show? It diverges so much from the book in all the wrong ways. Just like, wasn't a fan. And like the witty puns that Jace tries to do with Clary, just like, it just doesn't work. It's meant for the book. It's meant to be spoken by book Jace, not whoever the heck was the actor in the TV show. Wasn't a fan. Anyway, so this reread, what stuck out to me the most was like how young Clary is. Like, I had forgotten that she's only 15, which just seems like insanely young to be going through all of these things and like falling in love. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with falling in love at 15, but just I remember that the later books have these like vividly steamy makeout scenes and stuff, and I'm just like, I just feel a little uncomfy reading that now as a 28-year-old woman. I'm just like, these are children. So I'm just gonna like pretend in my head that they're actually older than that for the rest of the series, because I'm just like not about that vibe. But yeah, other than that, I did think it was just a little bit boring just because I was so familiar with the story that it was all just like, oh, how am I know exactly what's gonna happen? But I do know I have also read City of Ashes since then, so I'll talk about that in a later video, but I did enjoy that a lot more just because it was so much newer and fresher to me than the first book in the series. Alright, well that wraps up our books 71 to 80 of the 100 book challenge. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. Only 2 more episodes to go. I'm super excited to wrap things up and have a fresh start in 2021. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.